Yo, what's going on, everybody? A. Ryan here.
Raider Pete.
Welcome back to PanNerdia's Better Call Saul breakdown show here, and we're breaking down episode 3 of season 5, The Guy for This. And you guys know who they're talking about here. I mean, he is the guy for this, the guy to call. And kind of starting off exactly where we left last time with the ice cream. I'm sure you guys saw the thumbnail, but yeah. The nice, well, you said it was your favorite flavor growing up.
Chocolate chip on a sugar cone. Growing up, that was the favorite.
And what a cool little shot they did there with not only like the music, but like the close-up bug shots, which we were talking about. Like they do a lot in this show from, like
the
Scorpions.
Both, yeah.
Both of them. Combined. Like Scorpions in Breaking Bad, and then Jesse.
Jesse was playing with a beetle or something on his fingers when he was,
they did that
or something.
Well, yeah, not only in Breaking Bad, but they did it in El Camino too.
Oh, cool. Yes, yeah.
So a lot of like little bug things. So it's cool that they had the bug and then the ants crawling all over the ice cream. It was just real cool cinematography, and with the music and them triumphing over this glorious thing. Well, it's kind of like almost representing, ice cream in general. It's when it gets spilled, it's almost like a kid spilling ice cream. It's like loss of innocence. So it's like in a way, it's even though we know Jimmy, aka Saul, isn't the most innocent man in terms of the stuff he does, the slipping he does to kind of get by. But all in all, this is no Walter White, and seeing this ice cream spill, and then even though he's helping out all these criminals and stuff, they're kind of low level. Then when the big guns come and they need him and they're pulling him in, aka Nacho, it's kind of like that Saul that he thought he was going to be the smooth, petty criminal lawyer, and now he's the real deal criminal lawyer. And it's kind of like the loss of any innocence left.
Yeah, that is totally symbolic of just that was his sweet victory. Like, I've turned the leaf.
Totally.
I finally am doing what I've always wanted to do my way.
Yep.
And it all stopped in an instant when that car pulled up and he had to drop the cone.
I mean, because he's flying close to the sun, man. He's playing with fire. I mean, regardless of how he views it, he's playing. I mean, he's helping criminals.
So you're saying the ants represent like the new criminal like element of his career now, just eating him up. Like that stuff he built is now he's got to just.
He's go in even
whole
harder.
New direction.
Go even harder in the paint. Speaking of paint, we got a nice drippy car. Blingy's car, that is, with its that drip on that baby, that candy coat, that gold candy coat, and all that bling. But remember, that was a guy that Nacho ripped the earring out of in like season 4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't have the money.
Is he on this list? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm not sure who plays him. He might actually be like a rapper who plays him or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, they have the scene where Saul's in the back, kind of wondering where they're going. It was a promo they did earlier in the year. But they pull up to the chop shop where Lalo is, and that's where they kind of get this deal going. But it's a real interesting dynamic. Not only do we finally get to see Saul, Nacho, and Lalo all in the same room.
Lalo especially. We're like, when is Saul going to meet Lalo? Because we know he made quite the impression on Saul at some point.
To the point where he thought he was getting a gun to his head from Lalo. So it's going to be exactly where it begins. So we got a lot to see, what these two play out. But they're already entangled, and it's not even really Saul's plan going forward with Crazy 8. It's Lalo's.
Lalo had to employ him as Crazy 8's lawyer just so he can get a message across without anyone listening in.
Yeah, pretty much.
But in order for that to happen, Saul needed compensation to become the lawyer. There needed to be money changing hands. Well, you want to expound on that one?
Oh yeah, Saul throws out his price. He's all nervous. It's great acting from Bob Odenkirk, man. Like so nervous and like sweaty, but still trying to talk his way out of it,
Yeah.
And he throws out his price, and it's like $7,925. He's like adding. I was like, he's like it's a baseline price, or he's like trying to be like it's reasonable. And Lalo look at him like, that's what you want? That's expensive, and he pulls it out of his back pocket like he totally called it before he even did.
Well, he was like, wait, $7,925. And I'm like, oh, that dude's got it in his back pocket. Just saying, because that's what you'd say if someone, like, has money to, like, growing out their pockets and
when you're a part of a drug
lord
lord family.
Behold, he reaches back. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Let's round it up to 8,000.
Yeah, let's make it for your troubles, he says. But it's so funny because he mentions Tuco and the Abuelita, the whole biznatch thing that the redhead dudes say. Very awkward scene altogether, but very awkward in terms of the energy in the room. And it was perfect for that scene because, Saul was just like in over his head there. But great scene, man. But then we end up getting to, Mike. We get some Mike in the episode. And he's, of course, still brooding over the whole Werner Ziegler death and how Gus handled it and everything. And
maybe that picture, did Ziegler say, "I'm going to go with my wife to Australia, go away"?
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, because we were wondering, guys. He had the bartender rip down this postcard from Sydney, the Sydney Opera House, and he was really angry and like rip it down.
Maybe that was. Maybe
I think you're totally right, man. I think you're totally right because I think that's what he was saying.
Because the one thing he's been stewing on this whole time anyway.
Yeah, has been that. So that makes sense, man. Yeah, because we couldn't figure it out at first, but that's totally it. Well, Mike's walking home drunk and kind of in a bad neighborhood. Runs to a group of thugs, and they're trying to get him to hand over $20. And Mike's like, I got more than $20 in my pocket, assholes. He's like, what are you gonna do? A lot more. Yeah, totally. And so the lead thug, is like, oh man, I'm not gonna take this from you. And he walks up there, and even his other dudes are like, you're gonna take that from him? And he walks up, gets Mike, turns him around, punches him. One clean punch in the mouth. Kind of lets him though. Mike can take a hit, man. He's got a jaw, and then he just totally puts him in some judo, cop shit, and throws him on the ground, breaks dude's arm.
Yeah, in a couple places it seemed like.
Yeah, it did, man.
Because first it seemed like he broke it, then he popped it out, and then he looked back. I guess there was a little back and forth with the rest of the gang there, and then he another little crunch at the end.
Yeah, it was not enough for them to be like, oh, damn.
I don't know if you noticed this cinematically. The yard was so small and the fence was so short, standing up it would be up to my kneecap, so those big dudes looked like giants in that yard.
I'm sure that helps with it for sure, but yeah it's totally I think how those yards are over there. They're basically little deserts in their front yard.
Yeah, but some of the fences along the way were normal fences.
Oh, but in that scene,
and then a couple homes, including the one where they were just in the front yard.
And they just jumped over real easy. I remember that.
Stepped over
them, basically, yeah. Oh, man. Man, what a night for not only Jimmy, a.k.a. Saul, but Mike as well. But as Jimmy comes home late, he ends up seeing Kim up there on the balcony, kind of whistles to him. She's drinking some beers. He goes up there to join her. And they talk kind of like normal. It's some normal chit-chat for the most part. Both had some rough days. Jimmy kind of divulges in what happened with his day, but without too much detail. But then mentions that though it was the best day, money-wise, for Saul Goodman, and it's as soon as he mentions that, she's just turned off and doesn't want anything to do with the rest of the conversation, really, at that point.
I do think it does help, though, if you've watched these two in past seasons,
right,
to understand all the body language that was going back and forth. You could read both characters, what was going on, just with themselves and with each other. And even little actions Saul was done with one beer, so he puts it on that little tiny ledge and cracks the next one open. The whole time she's looking at it, she's like, is he going to pick it up? Is he going to get knocked over? She's concerned about, he's so reckless. That matched up with his whole, I've had the most ups and downs ever, but the business is good. Mm-hmm. It's and you're so reckless that, there's a little example of your recklessness. But as we see later on at the very end, she's kind of
Yeah, they come back and kind of touch on that scene again. They do a lot of mirror moments. Not only that, with the ice cream, too, later on.
Everyone hits their mounds and peaks and valleys in this episode.
I think it's a good one. Yeah, it's kind of you're really seeing some, you're seeing the exhaustion some of these characters can get through just not only dealing with their day-to-days, but dealing with taking on too much. Because a lot of these characters in the show, it's about motherfuckers who hustle. Not only in the real world, like Kim and Jimmy before he was Saul, but also all the gangsters and all the cartel. It's everybody's hustling and really trying to prove a point, but in their own way. And he's
got to hustle with the hustlers, which is high stress, and she's a junkie on helping other people.
Oh yeah, she is, and we'll see that for sure.
I mean, maxing herself out in the process.
Yeah, that's her thing. She loves, and then seeing Jimmy, and this is a thing that you've even showed in the past seasons. Is like, I think that's why she likes Jimmy so much. Is that even when Jimmy's down, he still is trying to get up and hustle.
Yeah.
And she takes that and like runs with it because she does the same thing, almost to the point where she wrecks her car at one point, because she's taking on too much. But we then so that was a cool scene between Jim and Kimmy. I would say that's totally, or Jim and Kimmy, Jimmy and Kim, because that's totally was Jimmy there, not Saul in that moment, even though he mentioned Saul.
Yeah.
But we then get to Nachos meth mansion in his meth Harlem, and he's got one of his chicks like totally strung out, like breaking Rubik's cubes and trying to open up remotes and shit. And he's like, God, fuck, I gotta build this puzzle. Jesus. Somebody, knocks on the door, comes up to the buzzer, ends up being his father. I'm assuming the first time his father's seen his place and been in it, that's for sure. And I guess he fucking told
reconfirms what Nacho's been up to.
Yeah, exactly. And his dad knows what he's into, not only from him coming in fourth season, coming to the shop, shot, almost dying, to him talking about, I'm in this and I'm kind of stuck in it kind of business. But, yeah, man. I mean, you can already tell the dad had something on his mind more so than, oh, this is just, this, oh, look at this fancy place, I know where you got this money at. There was something else behind it, and it ultimately came down to him, mentioning that, oh, somebody wants to buy the shop and
the land at an overpriced,
right, and then,
overvalued price.
And Nacho's like, oh man, it could be a chance for you to retire, and we both agreed, like, yeah, that's a very good thing to do. But and this is where it's kind of iffy for us. We don't know if this was something that Nacho did or not, but his dad totally believes that Nacho set this all up. So he leaves town, gets out, runs away. Doesn't have to be a nuisance, and it makes sense that Nacho would do that, especially with what happened in the first episode, with Gus and his box cutter going up into the restaurant and like acting like he was gonna kill his dad and all that shit, that threatening. So Nacho would file Lalo. So it makes sense that Nacho would set this all up, but he didn't advertently say to his dad that I did.
I didn't think about that actually watching the show. I think you're dead on.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
The more you're talking about, the more I'm convinced that. I mean, think of it. He got the scare of his life.
Yeah.
When they pretended that they were going to murder him if he didn't be the inside man for Gus.
Mm-hmm.
So
this
is his opportunity now where he's kind of clean and clear with both sides, and get his dad out of town. So that makes sense. And we know it doesn't work, and we know his dad's got too much pride, and we know his dad, as he has said, figured the business was going to go to him, the family business.
Yeah. So the fact that he's just like, yeah, just take it, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
He got the picture. And my mistake, that was the second episode that his dad he got threatened with his father. It was the second episode. Because I remember that was the episode that he got woken up in the middle of the fucking night. And that shit that's not cool, man. That's not cool. Okay. So then we get Kim in action because she mentioned that she's got the day free of Mesa Verde. And she's jamming out down at the districts, helping out, clients in need. We get a nice scene of her in court and unfortunately getting denied. Her, I don't know all the legal terms for all this shit. Her request or whatever for the judge, she's getting denied. And it's going to have to go more to trial, with her client and everything. So it's just kind of showing that now she's kind of starting to have kind of a bad day, right? And kind of how Jimmy's day was kind of bad before. So Kim starts kind of having a bad day. Things aren't going her way. She's getting constantly buzzed by Rich,
The Mesa Verde people.
Yeah, Rich being the guy, the lawyer guy. You said that might be a Jew or a Greek actor plays him.
I think he is a Greek actor, yeah.
It's a Jewish actor, but a Greek actor. Guy who plays Rich from Zweikel. Rich and Zweikel and Rich or whatever the fuck his practice is called. But he gets Kim on the phone being like, yo, Mesa Verde needs you. We have a situation down at one of the oil fields, and happens to be, once Kim gets down there, which we'll get to later, she has to deal with somebody who's like one of those people who's like the last person to leave a property that a big company's buying all the land, and then the last person to leave, and it's a situation you got to deal with.
That was quite the wide shot, the camera shot, because you saw where all the plots, all his neighbors used to be. It's just like a perfect square concrete flat, because no one had basements out there.
Right,
it's just like one story. I mean, it's just clean slate.
Literally, everybody else was gone.
One little fence with his one little house.
That's funny, man. But before we get to her finally reaching out there, we get Saul coming into, or better yet, Crazy 8 getting brought into the room where Saul's at so they can meet. And this is when Saul busts out the plan for Crazy 8 to adhere to. And then we kind of get to the next scene where it's Saul outside kind of waiting for what's next, I'm guessing the plan, and sees, a government car pull up, government-marked car, and guess who it is? Your boy Hank and your boy Gomez, the Breaking Bad DEA duo coming in. Yeah, man. Pretty dope to finally see him. Not only do we get them totally being themselves, especially Hank, from slapping his DEA badge on the window to them talking shit with a cool camera shot that's like shot through the lockers on each of their. They're doing a lot of cool shots like that. Like last episode, or no, this was an episode. It was episode 2, when Jimmy's doing the cool constant camera shot through the district court as he's talking to everybody, and then at one point he runs into Hamlin. And they're both in the windows up from inside the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Similar to this, they got the camera from inside the lockers. You can see each angle or each locker opening, and you get Hank and
they did a lot of
Gomez
they did a lot of those tight, like, sort of tunnel shots, including like when the lady was sitting inside the clerk. They had to slap their IDs on the.
Oh, even on that.
On the glass.
The way it's coming up to the glass.
Like came up, boom, right up the glass. But here comes Hank. Hank is back.
Hank is back, man, and
with sidekick.
Not only does Hank, as they're bullshitting, Hank mentions Marie at one point, which is cool because that just again ties in the Breaking Bad story even more. Not only just Hank being there is crazy enough. That's like the biggest. I guess you could say drop in from yet in the show. I would say that's way more than Tuco or anybody else. I mean Mike, but he's kind of it's like the show is pretty much Mike and and Saul, and then you got Gus. Yeah, he's a big drop in too. But in terms of like the good guy characters, you haven't seen anybody like other than Hank. The next people who are really bigger than that are going to be Jesse and Walt, and whether or not we see them or not is a different story. But seeing Hank's a big thing.
I'm starting to wonder the whole Tuco connection, like how it pairs up with the timeline with Walt and Jesse.
Well, it's still 4 years away from the beginning of Breaking Bad because, and this is how I know. Somebody took a screenshot of the first episode of the season when Saul's getting his new thing. The computer of the lady's computer says 2004, and Breaking Bad is in 2008. The first episode takes place in 2008, so we still got 4 years in between. Now, this show has skipped ahead a couple years already. I think it started. It's like a 2002 show, and then so it's at 2004 now, like end of 2004. It's going to keep pushing a little bit. Tuco gets out of jail. He said he was in jail 6 years, so that means Tuco gets out of jail in 2008, which is right when Breaking Bad, and that makes sense because that's how he just got out of jail, so that makes sense.
It's just entertainment. Lalo brought up his cousin Tuco when meeting Saul. That's all.
Well, of course,
that made me think though. It brought up. I wonder like what has gone down between Saul and Tuco so far. Because there's no Hank involved, or I'm sorry, there's no Walt involved or anything.
Right. Well, remember, we know pretty much what's happened with Tuco and Saul, but that's only happened in the first couple episodes of the first season. Otherwise, remember, Tuco didn't have anything else to do with Saul. He started dealing with Mike. Because remember how he got arrested? Mm-hmm. They set it up to where Mike beat his ass and made it look like he was an old man getting his ass beat. And that's how Tuco got sent to jail for 6 years. But yeah, man.
That was a nice setup.
But it'll be interesting because we might. I don't know. We'll see. But essentially, we get Hank coming into the room where Crazy 8's at, and this is when the plan starts kind of going in action. Crazy 8 pretty much starts spilling the beans for the most part. But right at the perfect moment, Saul busts in, says that he's violating the rights. Hank's even impressed with his name. Saul Goodman, really?
He gets it.
He totally got it. It is a Hank humor kind of thing. It's like something Hank would totally laugh at. Saul
Goodman.
Yeah, right. Like he thinks he's like cool and shit. But essentially they end up making this deal. So, because they're about to walk out of the room because they think like, oh, all this shit that he was saying about exposing $1 million in drug money and all this, Crazy 8 said, they're not buying it now because they think Saul's setting this all up. So it's like this double trip plan, and how much of it's really the plan, how much is Saul, we don't know. But ultimately, it comes down to Crazy 8's going to have to rat on some spots, and then there have to be some arrests made. And they made this deal that if that happens, and this is true, contingent, they mention that it's contingent on, then Crazy 8 will be free, the slate wiped clean, and guaranteed to not have a target on his back after it's all said and done. So that's a pretty good deal.
Well scripted, and I wonder how much of the script was Lalo and how much was the script improv'd by Saul.
That's where I'm thinking like the target on the back thing was a Saul thing. Almost like Lalo didn't care about that part.
Yeah, right? A little added thing to help him out. Yeah, it was. It kind of was. It was confirmed later.
Okay, you're right, yeah.
Because he's like, what'd you have to do that for? Well, because it's my client. I want to make sure he doesn't get...
Yep, you're totally right. Yeah, yep. So there you go.
So that was
so now we do know
an extra Saul twist.
Saul was kind of stirring the pot himself. He couldn't help himself, right? I mean, when they said they were going to hand him a script, essentially, he's like, I got to do it my way if I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we finally get Kim with Mesa Verde showing up this dude's property. Dude's essentially just extremely stubborn. So stubborn, so fucking stubborn, to we'll see even more so later. I mean, even after he gets his dick ripped off, thrown in the dirt, he's still stubborn. But yeah, what were you going to say?
No, he's like 80 years old.
80 years old, he's had this property since the 70s. He doesn't want to move, though everything in the law says that he has to, even to the point where when Kim goes off on him, she's like, the sheriff's going to show up and just kick your ass out. And that's how it is, you old fuck, basically. And, like I said, she just basically stomped him into the ground and then essentially felt bad later and came back to him. But we'll get to that later. Which is like you said, though, no matter how much... She doesn't take bullshit, that's for sure. But then she also just has an overbearing sense of she has to help people.
And the Mesa Verde people knew that she was the one that can talk to any sort of client. Right. Considering she's helping out people that are totally like, she's well off with just the one client. She doesn't need to help small criminals and stuff like that. But it's Kim, and that's what she does, and she can't get enough of it.
Yeah,
but like they knew she had to be the one to talk to him, and when her first try didn't work, then her second try was the whole money bargaining.
Yeah.
And then third, she just, like you said, stomped him on the ground.
Yeah.
And said, well, you know what? You got X amount of days to make up your mind, or the sheriff's coming and kicking you out.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be,
but
dog.
Yeah, feeling bad is what she ends up doing with everything.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
All the Kim Wexler stories,
she definitely is an overthinker, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. But that's the thing, it's like overthinking people, because I'm definitely one of them. It gives you a hustle. It really does. It gives you a drive to keep doing things because you're fucking thinking of the fucking worst at all points, pretty much. And that's kind of what Kim... I really do love Kim as a character. I mean, she's great. She does a great job. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say, man? She's... it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially with what happens later in this episode towards the end. We thought it could have been the end. Well, again, we'll get to that. We come back to Saul. I almost said Jimmy. At this point, he's Saul. Saul with Nacho waiting for Lalo to finish some laps on this dirt track, assuming with the car he was working on, beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets out finally, and Saul's there to pretty much let him know what happened. Let him know that, the spots that they're giving up gotta be live. They gotta have fucking drugs in them, and they're gonna be arrests made. And of course, Jimmy just keeps spitting and trying to save his ass at all costs. And Lalo's just like entertained by it. He's just laughing. He's like, "This guy is fucking. I'm so glad we got this dude. He's like happy that he has Saul. He like finds it entertaining." To to the point where it's a little scary, like the way Lalo is like that. It's like. For example, last episode when Nacho was jumping roofs and shit, everybody else was so scared, and Lalo was just like, "This is fucking."
Like he's at the drive-in movie.
Yeah, it was just like having a blast. So, he's a great character, man, because it's a great dynamic of a Salamanca to where, he's still batshit fucking crazy, but he's not batshit crazy angry like his uncle was, or like Tuco is. Tuco's got the crazy anger problem. But Tony Dalton, who plays Lalo, or Eduardo Salamanca.
It's amazing how just slap on a thick mustache on a dude and he like...
Yeah, right?
He does the part just right. I think the mustache is like biggest part of that personality.
Oh, it totally is,
And he works he has eyebrows worked on too, so to match. And when he smiles with that stupid look, it's like, oh, you're psycho,
He's totally psycho. Like, he's just in his own fucking world, man. He really is. But we thought the episode was about to be over too, because after Nacho gets him back in Saul back in the car, and it's basically like, look, man. And then it's funny because this kind of mirrors what Walt used to say back in Breaking Bad. It's over when I say it's over. And Nacho basically was saying, look, man, when you're in, you're in. Like, you got pulled into this cartel shit. You're in it till it's finished. There's no getting out of it, and that's when Saul's just like, fuck.
Hence the reference back to the ice cream cone.
Oh, it was perfect reference back, mirror back. He gets there and it's devoured by the giant fucking desert ants of New Mexico, and he's just like, fuck, man. So that was again kind of reiterating.
It's almost like he gets out of the car at the same spot that he picked him up. He's like, they're like, hey, you remember that? Your plans, your future, everything you built. Yeah, that's eaten up, that's gone now.
Yeah, it's devoured.
It's a whole new game now.
It is a whole new game. You can't have your cake and eat it too, kind of thing. And though, again, reference to last season, he had said that when Kim was going over to the Schweikly place and becoming like the head of the banking division, all that shit, he was kind of a little jealous and butthurt at first because he was wanting that business with Kim, the whole Jimmy Kim duo,
right?
But that's when he kind of switched over and be like, no, I got to do this thing for me. And then he was like, you know what, you get to have your cake and eat it too. And he kind of thought he was going to get to that point because like, if she can do it, I can do it. And well, now he knows what flavor his cake is. Poop and ants, fire ants, that is. So we get Kim feeling bad, driving home. This is also 10 minutes over when the episode should pretty much have ended.
We thought,
right now.
Look, this is a preview for next week. We're watching. Nope, it's still the episode.
It's still the episode.
Yeah, it was a nice long one.
Yeah, it was cool. A little extra 10 minutes or so. But she, like we said, feels bad. Goes back to the dude's property at night. We thought she was gonna get shot or something. Like he was gonna be like, get off, because she breaks in. She jimmies into his.
Fence.
No, pun intended.
Trespass.
Trespass. Then opens the door. Shows him properties that she's found. She says that she would even pull money out of her own pocket to help him move, and she would help. She gave him a day. Even started giving, kind of a sob story of how, though she wasn't trying to, it definitely came off as that, and that's how he saw it, and he just was like, you will say anything to get your way, and he shuts the door on her.
But him calling BS on her right there. And her leaving after she went well out of her way,
right?
And her means in the middle of the night to help this fella out at his age, what the hell? That is finally maybe not the coup de grace, but almost the coup de grace, of reality of you know what? Maybe doing it Jimmy's way or Saul's way sometimes is okay.
Yeah,
you don't always have to bend over backward for every single human being.
And yeah, I think that's a very good point there, and that's kind of really leads into the end of the episode. Before, of course, we get one little extra scene, because I even mentioned, because we thought the episode was over, I was like, Gus hasn't been in this episode yet, and then here enters Gus for a 2-minute snip of basically Nacho filling him in on the whole drop spot thing. And this is when it kind of connects in my mind finally, so Nacho's fucking with Gus, or not Nacho, Lalo's fucking with Gus, and is basically gonna give the spot. His whole idea was I'm gonna give him drop spots, but they're not gonna be my drop spots. They're gonna be Gus's drop spots because he probably knows where they're at this point. So they're gonna give him live drop spots and with arrests, and they're gonna be Gus's dudes getting arrested. So it's a way of fucking with his operation. So of course, Nacho fills Gus in with the information. Gus is obviously not pleased, but he's gonna let the spots get picked up so it doesn't cause any question on Lalo's idea. So this is fucking game of back and forth going on between Gus and Lalo and trying to figure each other out, and then Nacho's stuck in between, and then he drugging Saul to the equation, and it's just like he's like, I gotta take somebody else down with me, almost kind of thing. And that's where I was like, when he said that thing earlier in the episode, when you're in, you're in. It was almost like I got that sense from Nacho, like, look, man, I'm stuck in it, you're stuck in it too, kind of thing. And I love Nacho as a character, but at that point, I felt like he was being petty. Like, though, in the same sense, he knew Saul was the guy. Like the name of the episode, this is the guy. What is it? Isn't that the name of the episode? I said it earlier. Yeah. The guy for this. And he is the guy for this. So it's just a very interesting duality, this whole episode, and leading back to the balcony where we...
back to the apartment.
Back to the apartment. Back to the balcony. This time it's Jimmy on top of the balcony whistling down to Kim after a long day. She comes up, sips some beers. Nice quiet scene, though.
Sharing a cigarette.
Their famous cigarette sharing. Drink some beers. Jimmy playing with like, oh, I'm so reckless, I'm about to drop this beer bottle. Oh, look at me, And then Kim's just like, fuck, I'm just gonna throw this one.
She chucks it pretty
and then he chucks it, and
she picks up a full one, chucks that as well,
and then he follows, and they clear it, and then lights turn on, and they leave the episode
giggling together just like they would if they just played one of their prank deals that they've done in the past.
So all in all, I love the episode, man. It was great third episode. Nice, a little bit longer of an episode. I think it's going to get very interesting going forward this season. We got more Hank next episode.
I think we're going to see a little bit more of everybody else. I mean, a little bit more Mike. Maybe Mike taking down some more thugs on the street. Maybe, I think I saw in the preview Mike's daughter-in-law.
Oh, yeah, daughter-in-law, yep.
I think she's featured in there again. But I think everyone, including a little more Hank.
So, hey, man, we got a lot still to cover until we reach the Breaking Bad era. But, hey, there's still whole another season. Very curious to see where this goes. Because Saul's really getting deep. And this season's going pretty quick, but at a really good... They're pacing it great. So, I'm just saying, what else could there really be for them to really drive all this home? And it pretty much comes down to what happens to Kim, Nacho, and Lalo. Those are the big three. What happens to those three? Because everybody else, for the most part, we see in Breaking Bad.
Between you and I and everyone else watching, I think that Lalo's going to die, but obviously Saul's not going to be there or know about it or anything. It's going to happen without Saul knowing or being there.
Now, but Nacho, who knows? It needs to happen. Yeah, it probably will.
An important thing to happen.
The question is, too, what happens to Nacho? Will he die? Or will he... Because, again, that's the thing. Because, again, Saul thinks they're both alive in Breaking Bad when that happens. Because he mentions, was it Nacho that sent you? Lalo then?
Right.
So, who knows? Well, he doesn't say Nacho's Ignacio, but... Either way, guys, love the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We see next week for the review breakdown of episode 4 of season 5. And until then...
Lots more Saul, y'all.
Y'all, take it easy. Peace.